Welcome to the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society's Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs and Museum Director Rick Godley. Each episode, Lawrence Gibbs will choose a song from the Lincoln Parish Museum's Edison collection of records, share some historical facts and information, as well as play each record on the original 1912 Edison Phonograph in the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum. Now sit back and enjoy the sounds from our time machine, a 1912 Edison A-250 Model Phonograph. Welcome back once again to another episode of what we call Sounds Like Edison from the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society. We're located at 609 North Vienna Street. I am Rick Godley alongside historian, musician, conductor Lawrence Gibbs.
Yes.
Matter of fact, last episode I caught him starting to direct the band.
Wow.
So we'll watch for that this time.
Okay.
As we're going to be doing episode number 11. I love my baby and my baby loves me. But first, if you would be so kind, let me do some, huckstering, I guess is one way to say it, huh?
Good, yeah.
This is the 150th anniversary of the founding of Lincoln Parish. That is also known as a sesquicentennial. And a group of volunteers has gotten together to try to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln Parish in various and sundry ways. One of them is a real beautiful coin, a commemorative coin of the Lincoln Parish sesquicentennial. Wesley Harris spearheaded this one. On the front, it's got the 150 sesquicentennial, and on the back, remembering the past and looking to the future. We have them here at the museum, and you can call me, send me an email if you want one. These are $20, a limited edition. We had 300 printed, and these things are starting to gain traction as people wanting them. So if you want one, you better act now. Operators are not standing by, but
right.
Also, we have t-shirts, a limited number of t-shirts celebrating the 150th anniversary, the founding, the sesquicentennial of Lincoln Parish. These are $25, with all proceeds are going to go right back into the committee to create future events as we celebrate the founding of Lincoln Parish here at the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society. You're watching this on our YouTube. If you would subscribe and then also share the message out there, as we are in our second Renaissance. We are getting so close to getting back to being open. There's still some tidying up that needs to be done. We're going to have some of the rooms painted for exhibits for the future. So follow us on Facebook. That's one way to find out. Another project there, Lawrence, is the back gardens, getting the gazebo restored. We want to get that done as well. So awesome. We still covet and appreciate your support, because I don't think I mention it enough, and I should. We're a nonprofit organization. People think that we're funded by the government. We're not. We're funded by the people and the business community that wants this historic and heritage place to be. So we thank you so much. I'll be sending out another letter of solicitation, and as well as an update of what's happening. And we covet your thoughts on how to make this place and space even more relevant for the generations. One thing before we get into this, Lawrence, is that when people come in here, and generations, let's say from teenagers to 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, they literally walk into history. So it's not like history is being taught. They're in it, and you have their attention, and they're capturing, and they're wide open to learn.
It's a whole new generation that is discovering this stuff, and it is really neat stuff.
Oh, it's very neat. You. And this piece right here, and we call it a time machine because it is. This is from 1912, literally. Has not, as far as I don't think it's been touched ever. It's just been played.
It's been played, and Billy Green, that was in here, told us a lot of the story of it. But the fact is, in many, many years, it's not been used or bothered. Mm-hmm. It was up there and just sitting there. And I'm still shocked at how we discovered that was up there. I know. We'll set up. I'll create a separate video for that for you to go back and look. It was truly
It was a hot day in June, if I recall, but
Last summer.
I have that. But another thing too is once the sound comes out of this, it's enchanting. It captures everybody. It stops. And I had a mother and a daughter in here this very week, and soon as she was probably 8, maybe 10, under 10, and that noise when the music comes out.
Yes.
Her facial expressions are just like enthralling, and it's captivating.
It really is, and I was stunned when I went up there and discovered this. And so this is what this is all about, because the music is from a totally different time in history for us. It's way removed from what things are, and the songs still are unique and fun to listen to, and they all have a unique history. At one time, they were all very important pieces.
All right, episode 11, I Love My Baby and My Baby Loves Me. What are we going to hear?
All right, this is just a fun little instrumental in the hot foxtrot genre, let's say. Duke Yellman, which was a pianist for the Edison studios, had his own orchestra. Many of the same people that performed on the last disc are probably on this. Now, not everyone, but some people know that Edison really could care less who was playing on his records. He just wanted them to be excellent and show how fantastic his new invention was. And so most of the time, we find that there's very little information on exactly who and what and how these recording sessions were done. We have a little idea, but not much absolute written down proof. He barely kept an idea of who was the person doing the disc. So what we have here is a tune written by Harry Warren. Now, Harry Warren was a famous New York City composer that was responsible for a lot of the Broadway musicals, such as the 42nd Street. All of the stuff that happened in the 1930s was his heyday. He wrote all of the film scores for Busby Berkeley musicals. That's a big deal in that era. He wrote Lullaby of Broadway, famous song. Some of the other songs, he wrote over 800 songs. Just some of the ones that are his greatest hits are You'll Never Know, which is a great jazz standard. The Atchison, I can't even say this, Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe, which was from the Trolley song. I Only Have Eyes for You, Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby, Jeepers Creepers, which is responsible for starting Louis Armstrong. That was his big hit. There'll Never Be Another You. And then the last two on this list, and there were many others, are two that were associated with the Glenn Miller Orchestra in the 1930s. At Last, the famous song At Last, that also became a hit in the 50s and the 70s and the 90s. And then Chattanooga Choo Choo, which was the very first truly certified gold record in the 1940s. And I think 1942. It was done when Glenn Miller was right before he went to Europe. He did movies, and everybody's seen the Glenn Miller story where he's lost in the English Channel. But the thing is, this was the heyday of that. So this man was really a truly great artist, highly revered. And so what we have is the Duke Yellman was the pianist for this particular recording session. And what we've got is a very similar product than what you just heard, except there is no vocalist this time. So I think what you'll hear, oh, by the way, this is first and only take.
Ooh.
This was first and only take,
Wow.
and that's very rare. So what you have is the standard Dixieland foxtrot, as they called it, and it's a simple, what we call the ABA form. You'll hear a opening section, and then you hear what's called the bridge, which it changes keys, and then it goes back to the original section. Very simple. On this recording, and I do believe somebody similar to Red Nichols set this up and arranged it loosely. It is not, they're not note to note they're playing. They are doing some improvisation in a stylized way. So you have an introduction at the beginning, and it sets the style of the song. And then you have the chorus, bridge, chorus, and then you hear the saxophone section take over and do the same thing as what had happened the first time through. You'll hear the Charleston syncopation as they always did. At the end of, toward the end of the song, Red Nichols or some trumpet player plays a muted trumpet solo, which you didn't hear very often on these because the muted trumpet was very soft when it played. So he probably had to get up in the middle of that acoustic horn to get that to even hear. And then you had something very odd. We do not know who this player is, but he was very good. He could do special effects on the alto sax or soprano sax, whatever instrument. It's kind of hard to tell. It is not, in my mind, anything Jimmy Dorsey would ever do. But you hear growling and what we call flutter tongue, which is a special effect that's very difficult to do. It sounds like a clarinet solo to me, but it's part of the Dixieland sound. And so after that, they go through what we call the out chorus, where everybody gets in there and gets a little bit of a jab here and jab there till they end the piece. And so this is really a fun tune, and everybody knows I love my baby and my baby loves me.
Well, let's hear it now. Sounds Like Edison, episode 11. And this is from 1926, in the middle of the Roaring Twenties.
Yes.
Written by Harry Warren, the Billy Wynn Orchestra.
Well, it's a Duke Yellman Orchestra.
Oh, my bad.
They're about the same, though.
Lawrence being the teacher there, correcting the student.
Well, I learned just with everybody else. Duke was the pianist. And I bet Billy Wynn was the drummer, though.
He was an A-lister, right? These are
these are some.
This is the wrecking crew of the Roaring Twenties.
Oh, you're so good. That was right. Yes. There we go. Let's speed it up a little bit.
And we really had to work for that one, huh?
Yes.
I love my baby and my baby loves me. Episode 11 of Sounds Like Edison from the parlor here of the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society. And again, I mean, Lawrence, you had to get up there and wind it because this is from 1912.
Right.
I mean, it's not plugged into anything.
Mm-mm.
And I enjoyed it. I mean, that's
yes, and I think it's all the ambiance of the storm system coming through.
We got lights blinking. We have thunder outside. So this is real. It's not Memorex.
No.
Right? So
I'm just glad we made it through.
We got through it. Got through another episode there. I had some questions, but they got all preempted. Yeah.
I think it's just a wonderful experience to realize that there was a time where these might have been candles or whatever.
That's right.
And that's the way people lived. And so if it's different than what we understand, but all it is getting up and making he did at least have an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
That was, you can tweak that speed a little bit. It's just a spring, and that spring gets weaker ever so often. So, but
the Duke Yellman Orchestra, how many players are we talking about in there roughly?
That was a smaller group than the one before. This is probably 10 pieces.
Okay.
And you have a couple of saxophones, a trumpet, trombone, a tuba in there, and then you can't really hear the piano, but you hear the banjo.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's probably about a 10-piece standard Dixieland format is what we know.
The Charleston show here on Sounds Like Edison, that is going to be a wrap, and I think you earned your pay on that one.
Well, we'll go a different direction the next. I'll get in here and try to find something that we haven't heard before. So a style that we haven't gotten to hear yet. So there's plenty to pick from.
We appreciate your feedback. Leave your comments down below, and if you would be so kind, pass the word to follow us on Facebook, Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society. That's where we stay updated and keep you updated of the progress of opening the museum up for our second Renaissance. Hashtag Let's Create a Remarkable Future. That's 1 and 2 on the YouTube page. Share this around, and any thoughts, any comments, we appreciate the feedback always. And we also appreciate your support as the community has supported this now since 1976.
Yes.
And so we want to create a relevant place and space here. So thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your ideas, and thank you for your work, man.
Well, glad to. Now we just need to hope we can get out here before it goes dark.
Yeah, gotta be real, gotta be real. All right, so for Rick Godley and Lawrence Gibbs, that's episode number 11. I love my baby and my baby loves me on what we call Sounds Like Edison. Thank you for watching the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society's Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs and Museum Director Rick Godley. Keep in mind, we're a nonprofit organization and we welcome your ideas, suggestions, as well as financial support to sustain our efforts to create a remarkable future as we embark on our second Renaissance. Our address is 609 North Vienna Street, Ruston, Louisiana, 71270. Kindly follow us on Facebook to keep connected for future events, exhibits, and educational opportunities about Lincoln Parish. Sounds Like Edison is a Godly Works production.